Hi, y'all. So today I wanted to join on to talk about the fact that it's Father's Day. And although this might be a day that has great emphasis in your family or may come with a lot of great traditions, for some, that's not always the case. And so today, as I notice a lot of greetings going out for young, old, middle-aged, straight, gay, LGBTQ fathers, I wanted to ensure that I cover the other part of Father's Day that we sometimes don't talk about. And as someone who also does not have my father on Father's Day, I know that there are other persons just like myself. And I actually wanted to dedicate this video to at least 3 persons who I know don't have their fathers this year for Father's Day. So let's get into why is Father's Day difficult, or why is it a bittersweet? So given the circumstances that is COVID-19, there are going to be lots and lots of persons whose fathers may have succumbed to COVID. So let's start with that. The reality is that this is a bittersweet holiday. The same would have happened for Mother's Day in May, because many persons would have lost potentially both their parents during COVID. So that's the first thing. So some of the reasons why I wanted to talk about is the dynamics that we see. Like, we always just figure, oh, well, the reality is we all have a father to some degree. Whether we accept that father figure or not, that's a different case altogether. We all have been birthed by another male counterpart. And there are some persons who have true fathers. And then there are persons who have what I like to call sperm donors. And so it can be difficult for persons on this day because everyone has their own dynamics. So some of the dynamics that I thought I would just throw out there first to begin with is because I just don't think we think about it like this. So we have persons who have lost their fathers, whether that is recently due to COVID or 10 years ago, or since they were born. And this could be both for medical reasons or even a tragedy. And I think that no one death is worse than the other, in the sense of we're all going to grieve differently. And so for the person whose father, fell ill during COVID versus the person who got in a car accident 2-3 months ago, this day is still going to be difficult, no matter whether they were peacefully passed away in their sleep or if it was a horrendous accident. So we need to look at that. Other thing, persons may not know their father. So this day is probably particularly triggering for persons who have not known their father since birth. So you may have, maybe your father passed away or the relationship wasn't healthy with your mother, and so you've grown up not knowing your father, period. Right? So this is another challenge for persons. We also have the absent parents, so absent father. So these are the fathers who come and go. Sometimes they don't come for 3-4 months. Sometimes they come every other weekend for 6 months and then disappear from your life for 6 years, right? So this is the absent father. And the problem with the absent father is that in death, there's an understanding that you're not going to come back, and I have to accept that. But with the absent father, there's no predictability and there's no stability. And so that can be very emotionally overwhelming and daunting for those persons who have the absent father, who come and go, because there's just no sense of stability. So that's also something to consider. Visiting fathers. So I included visiting fathers because visiting fathers are particularly interesting. So these are the fathers who may have a relationship with your mother or you, if you're the adult, and they are maybe your biological father, maybe not your biological father, but they more than likely have their own family on the outside as well. And so you're only getting a certain amount of exposure to this father figure. They don't live with you. They may come and spend a day with you. They may come and spend an afternoon with you. They may come every afternoon. But this is not necessarily your father. And like I said, he probably has another family elsewhere. So the issue with that is on Father's Day, if you're a visiting father, where do you go? Do you go see your outside family? Or do you stay at home? Because then the question is, if you have a secret outside family, how do you explain you need to go out on Father's Day to see somebody or to visit friends? Especially during COVID, you're not really supposed to be gathering. So what is the man who has an outside family, what does he tell that person? And then more importantly, how do the children of that visiting father are they supposed to feel when they keep asking for their father and he's not coming because sorry. Sorry, someone messaged me. Right. So that's the very intense dynamics of a visiting father, and it can have major issues. All of these things I'm describing have major issues on people's mental health, both as a child, as the caregiver, the primary caregiver, and even on the fathers. To be in a tricky situation like that, like you must feel bad at some point in time if you know that you can't split your time between like two families without getting in trouble. Of course, they are the fathers who live with you but don't really do anything for your growth. So these are the fathers who are there, but it's like they're absentee father emotionally because they don't interact, they don't know how to have a conversation, they are not emotionally there for you. And so those are the what we call like emotionally absent fathers. And you can have emotionally absent fathers that live with you. These are not just the visiting fathers or the absent fathers. These are the emotionally absent fathers who live with you. And those also have implications. Those also have mental health impacts in the sense of that sense of feeling loved is not there. Like this man is literally here, but you don't care to ask me how my day was. You don't care why I'm sad. You don't care that my grades are dropping. So that is also difficult. Toxic fathers. Toxic fathers, those are pretty much straightforward. Those are the fathers who are don't care, never home, probably drinking, maybe be abusive, maybe abusive to you. That's pretty clear cut. I don't really know if I need to explain toxic fathers. The other weird, not weird, but the other one I want to include is, and I saw this just now, like someone did a post about it, and I commend that person about posting it because we don't talk enough about it. And you know that I talk about this stuff, guys, if you watch me enough. The fathers who are trying to be a father, even if they've like separated or divorced from the mother of the children, but the mothers don't allow them to be their best version of themselves, or they have verbally abused the man so badly during their partnership that he is made to feel like he's a crappy father and thus he doesn't try. So I think that that's a really important one to talk about because people are like, oh, we don't talk enough about men. I talk about men. I have lots of male clients, so I do definitely talk about male issues. So I wanted to also include that reality whereby they are fathers who are trying and the mother is brainwashing or feeding the children that the father doesn't care, but it's actually the mother who's blocking the father from doing his duty. Does that make sense? I hope so. Thumbs up if I made sense. Right? And then the last one, which is just any other complicated father-child relationship. And this can be, and I remember there was a client who had a fascinating story whereby their everyone in the family had a toxic relationship with the father, other than my client. And when the father died, everyone was so, I wouldn't even say the word happy, but thankful. And my client had a real hard time that week because they're like, Riza, how am I supposed to feel? Because this man was so dreadful to everyone else, but he was my savior. When my mother was verbally and physically abusing me, he was the one who saved me so many times. And I thought that that was so fascinating to see how they interpreted this abusive husband as the supportive factor. And I had to validate those feelings because if you were a child who was verbally and physically abused by one parent and the other parent, even though they may have had to get violent to protect you, they still protected you. So you would feel bad if they died. You would grieve. Even, and everyone thought they were so weird. Why aren't you happy that man is dead? That was crazy. You know, to them, he was a monster. To my client, that was her savior that just died. And luckily, they're a grown person to not have to fear their abusive parent. But if this happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, how would that impact that person's level of safety or sense of safety? So I just wanted to throw those out. Now, last thing, I've been really good taking my notes. You guys should be proud of me so I can stay on point. What do we do about all these feelings? I know you're sitting here and thinking, okay, Rez, that sounds like me. What do I do about it? So I came up with a list of some things that I know like my clients have done and I myself did. Like I said, I lost my father as well. So first and foremost, stay off social media. If you are being triggered right now, stay off social media. Don't go on. And when you go on and you get triggered, come off, take a few deep breaths and understand why you're being triggered. You're being triggered because you're one of those kids of all the dynamics I just explained to you why today is a difficult day. And it's okay. It's okay to have a difficult day today. It's okay that today might be triggering for you a vast variety of reasons, right? Maybe you lost your father, but maybe also your ex-husband's not the greatest. So you're not only grieving your own loss of father, but you're grieving the potential that your child may have a difficult relationship with their father, if that makes sense, right? So it can be multitude of things happening in your head today. So stay off social media. It's okay to take a break. Sit quietly and go through pictures, go through letters, go through cards. It's okay to sit there and have a cry. It's okay to explain to your own children, to your siblings, to your partner. Today's a very difficult day. Can I just have a 15 minutes? Lock yourself in your room and have a cry. Nothing wrong with that. Just, I would say, try and explain it to whomever you live with so that they're not concerned for you or they disturb you, to be quite honest. Journaling. You probably want to write some stuff down. So you might want to write a I miss you letter. You might want to write I'm mad at you letter for those who maybe's fathers abandoned them. You may even want to write an I forgive you letter for maybe the fathers who did abandon you, or maybe that they come and go, or maybe they were abusive to someone in the family and you want to get rid of that burden and you don't want to hold that burden. You don't want to hold that against them anymore. You can write them an I forgive you letter, right? I was actually told to write a letter for my bereavement when I was in therapy in Barbados before I went out to internship. I told my therapist, I think I need to do bereavement because I'm about to go in the field and I never did bereavement in Guyana. And so she sent me to do a letter of what I would have wanted to say before he passed away. So I did that. And of course, as expected, I stopped writing twice in the middle of writing this letter and I cried. And it was okay. And it was good to get it out. And I lived alone, so no one could bother me. So don't fear the emotions that come with writing this. And start off with saying, dear so-and-so, today is so-and-so, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And these are the things I think about. These are the things that worry me. These are the things, what I feel. So I would say break it down as simple as you need it to be. Make a collage. I always tell my clients, I have lots of clients who come up with these things themselves. And so I had a client who made a collage for their family member that passed away, who was a father figure to them. And they passed away, and so they did a corner, almost like an altar. I always tell people that when people are grieving, it's okay to do something that looks like an altar or like a little corner just for that person, so you can feel at peace with them. Crafts with your own kids, help them, like when you're doing your collage, maybe you could do it with your kids so that you can talk about grandpa and why he would have been excited to meet them or spend time with them, or a funny story from them, and you do this while doing your crafts with your kids or making a collage with your kids. Talk to someone. Probably also you might want to check in with your own mom or your sibling, especially if it's a father who passed away recently. But in terms of people who have difficult relationships with their father, so the absent father, the visiting father, the emotionally distant father, you may want to check with your siblings. And I say this because you're not alone. Whatever it is that you experienced as a child or saw as a child or was hurt by as a child, you're not alone. Other siblings saw it too. Other siblings felt it too. And it's actually helpful for you to connect with your siblings and say, am I the only one who feels this way? Or did you guys ever notice when so-and-so or so-and-so? And just give them a chance to see if you all felt something. And hopefully they'll be able to validate what you're saying. If your father is alive, call him, right? Call him, tell him you love him. Tell him you love him even if he doesn't say it back. Because I always live by no regrets, in the sense of I will ask all the questions I need to be asked. I will do all the things I need to do. I will be vulnerable, because when it's all said and done and he's gone, I don't want to have regrets. So I encourage everyone, if you have a difficult relationship with your father and it's somewhat potential to heal is there, then I would tell you to call him today to start the ball rolling. Tell your kids you love them. If you're a father or even a mother, or you are a mother who knows you're blocking your kids from seeing their father, this video is for you too. Call him and say, Happy Father's Day. Here, the kids want to talk to you. And then have a serious discussion with him on another day, pertaining to what is his interest in having, what kind of relationship does he want to have with his children, and how can we facilitate that, right? And last two things. Guided meditations for bereavement. You can find them on YouTube. I've done one of them and it was amazing. So you can look up guided meditations for bereavement or guided meditations for heartbreak or loss of a sibling. You could just try them out, see if they work. Someone will basically guide you through the meditation with a very, very soothing voice. Don't think it's stupid. Just try it. You have no idea what it can do for you. And last, call me. See a therapist. That is one of the things the last thing. So I'm giving you guys tons of ideas before you even need to talk to me, because I genuinely believe people have the capacity to heal. They just need guidance. And so if it is that it's too difficult, then I recommend you call a therapist. Speak to somebody else, speak to a professional. Again, you can always just message me and say, hey, Rise, I think we're too close for you to do therapy with me, but can you give me a book, or can you send me a link for a video for something to get this ball rolling? And I'd be happy to. So just let me know. So I don't want to drag on too long, but I thank you for those who tuned in. I wish you all a pleasant Sunday. Happy Father's Day for the fathers who are out there who are trying, and happy Father's Day to the mothers who have had to take that place and are trying their best. And I want to thank you all for listening, and if you have questions, just put them at the end, but I don't want to run on for too long. Okay, great. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you another